Please join me in another round of applause for Representative Scanlon. Who we thank not only for her inspiring words today, but her consistent and ongoing leadership in bringing America's promise of equal justice for all to be a reality. Hello again, I'm Ron Flagg, President of LSC. It's my pleasure to introduce our next segment for the afternoon, aptly titled Legal Aid Impact Projects That Change Lives. We've heard a lot today about the justice gap. I spend a good portion of my life educating people around the country and in DC about the justice gap. But what I actually enjoy talking about even more than the justice gap are the innovative means that all of you out in the field come up with to address the justice gap, to help the people in need in your communities with, you have inadequate resources, so you have to be innovative, thoughtful, and diligent to come up with increasingly better means of serving the many people who need your help. We're going to hear about 5 such innovative projects that our LSC grantees are working on to close the justice gap in their communities every day. This is going to be a rapid fire program. Each of our presenters are going to come up for about 5 minutes, and we're going to jump right in right now with Alicia Johnson from Legal Aid of Western Missouri. Alicia, please come up.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of Legal Aid of Western Missouri, and I'm really proud to present this idea. Like most executive directors, the great ideas do not come from us. They come from our amazing staff. So this came from our Deputy Director, and the funding for the idea came from LSC, from the TIG and TIP funding. And I just want to say that it is really great to have this funding. It gives us an opportunity to have fun. And as lawyers, this is our version of having fun, is to do projects like this. So thank you to LSC for that, and also to A2J. They provided project direction, technical assistance for this project. So our project is the applicant callback scheduling system. And we came to the online intake world really late. So we were able to learn a lot from those of you that came before us, and it was pretty much almost every program came before us. And so one of the things that we learned is that after applicants would complete their online intake application, there was inevitably this phone tag that occurred between the applicant and between legal aid staff. Back and forth they would go to try to finish up the intake or to do get the interview, whatever the next step was. So what we incorporated with our online intake application is we actually incorporated a scheduling feature. So applicants that go in, they're able to access a calendar and they're able to set the time that works for them. And I want to stop for a minute to say this because I know that many of us strongly, strongly believe in access to justice, but I really believe that access to justice starts with our programs. And it really starts with how we streamline access to our own legal aid organizations for our clients and our applicants. So when the applicant fills out the scheduler, they will get these appointment reminders, and those come through via text, just like they would through a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment. And I don't know about you all, but I really rely on the appointment reminders. They're pretty critical for me to be able to coordinate my day and my life. So the applicant gets this appointment reminder, And so what does that do? You know, it is so frustrating to go into a case management system and to read the notes where you see the back and forth between your staff and this client, trying to reach them, the client's trying to reach the staff member. This prevents all of that. And that appointment reminder feature also gives that client the ability to reschedule if needed. And they don't need to do that through a staff person. They can automatically do it through the scheduling feature. This is also a very trauma-informed process and project. The client can, and starting March 1st, we have changed up this project to actually allow the clients to go directly to the paralegal on the team where they need the legal assistance. We are starting it with one team and then growing it. So they are ideally only telling their story to one person, making it trauma-informed. The other side effect to this project was the fact that it made our staff so happy. They could plan their day around these appointments. So thank you all very much. 5 minutes is not a lot of time. I think I did it wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Our next speaker is Lee Plisku from Micronesian Legal Services. Take it away, Lee.
All right, Lee.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lee. Well, there's a lot of you out there. With Micronesian Legal Services. I'm here with the president of my board, Mr. Marcelo Peterson, who, among other things, is the former governor of the state of Pohnpei, which is one of the 4 states within the Federated States of Micronesia, which is one of the locations in Micronesia where we have legal aid offices. I wanted to start my presentation with something memorable and something inspiring. And when we got here on Sunday, we had a little bit of time to visit some of the memorials, and there's certainly memorable and inspiring inscriptions to draw from there. But I don't know, it's just not my style to start with 7 years ago. So I settled for a while back. So go with me on this one, please. So a while back, I was visiting another one of our offices on the island of Guam, and I was talking with some of our staff there, one of the paralegals, and I was asking her what was she working on that was inspiring and interesting for her. And she began to talk about identity documents for our clients. And a lot of people in Micronesia need legal help with basic identity documents like birth certificates. And she was talking with such passion and knowledge about her subject that I was inspired to pull out my cell phone, and I said, Millie, can I just record what you're saying? And because we want to put this out to the people who need to know what you're saying. And she said, sure. So I started a little interview with her, and started just by, Millie, we were just talking about identity documents and how important this is, and what do you think people should know about this? And so she came forth, and we published within about 15 minutes, we had a video up on social media. Within a couple hours, it had 4,000 views. And I thought, okay, this is the beginning of a project which has since been funded by Legal Services Corporation. Thank you, sir. And it was the origin of our community education, providing legal information through videos. So there's 2 things that I want to say about our videos. First, these interview-style videos, short, off-the-cuff, spontaneous, work for us. We could do very polished, perfect videos. This is what I would like to do, but when I try to do a perfect video, I end up not doing it. You know, other things come up, and so these short, off-the-cuff, impromptu videos of staff worked really well for us. The second thing is we've sort of developed the practice of recognizing opportunities for community legal education and grabbing a hold of those and taking advantage of these spontaneous, off-the-cuff opportunities to do community legal education videos to put knowledge that we think our clients need into the hands of our clients. So one of the tools that we use is to ask our staff, What are you working on that you're excited about? What do you think our clients should know about what you're working on? So I want to give you a quick example of this. I know, 5 minutes. Won't take long. So one of the things that I wish more people knew about was how to get free civil legal aid help when you need it. So if you're from Micronesia, I hope you know about Micronesian Legal Services. We have offices in the Republic of the Marshall Islands, each of the 4 states of Micronesia, which includes Kosrae, Pohnpei, Chuuk, Yap, Republic of Palau, office on Guam, also in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. But what you may not know is that we have sister organizations throughout the territories in mainland United States. So if you're from Micronesia and you're in Hawaii or the mainland US or other territories or states, there's a legal aid office near you that provides free legal help in civil areas. And part of the reason for this is because there is the U.S. Legal Services Corporation, which provides funding to 130 other organizations just like us, nonprofits that provide free legal help. Well, in fact, I'm at Legal Services Corporation's 50th anniversary celebration, and here we are all together. So, two things about this. So number one, how to find the legal aid organization closest to you, lawhelp.org. So get online, lawhelp.org, that'll point you to the nearest legal aid organization to you. Secondly, not everybody knows that Micronesians are eligible for free legal help. So if you have a passport from the Republic of the Marshall Islands, you have a passport from the Federated States of Micronesia, you have a passport from the Republic of Palau, please contact a legal aid office near you and ask for free legal help. If anyone has questions about eligibility of Micronesians, contact me. My name is Lee Plisco, Executive Director of Micronesian Legal Services. Hang on. Oh, and? Okay. So, my time is up. Thank you for this amazing, it's posting to our Facebook page now. This video could be a lot better, but it's hopefully good enough. So check in a minute, it'll be on our Facebook page, I hope. Thank you for this amazing opportunity to help people create and access justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, for your courage of doing this live. That's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. But and I'm particularly jealous of the 4,000 views. If I get more than 100, I call my children and tell them I've gone viral. But our next presenter is Sonia Belafont from New Mexico Legal Aid.
I know Lynn Jennings is here somewhere, and I know someone else just ran over the 5 minutes. So before I get the timer started, I have got to do something, okay? So just give me 30 seconds. We are standing here on the 50th anniversary of the Legal Services Corporation, and I get to speak. So I want you to shake your shoulders, because that means I am standing shoulder to shoulder with all of the advocates in this room and across the country who have allowed me to stand here after a legal aid attorney assisted my mom when I was 4. So I feel like I could give the client story instead of talk about some of the amazing work that we do. My name is Sonia Belafont, and I am proud to stand before you as the Executive Director of New Mexico Legal Aid. I'm also excited to say that my board chair, Karen Myers, joined me today. So I've only been at New Mexico Legal Aid for a year, so I cannot by any means attest personally to the hard work that went into this project. But I can surely stand here with a very proud chest, representing each of the 120 staff members at New Mexico Legal Aid who make this particular project accessible to another community that is being victimized and now has some advocates to stand with them. So in my 5 minutes, allow me to share with you our initiative, our access program that gives legal assistance to members of the LGBTQ+ community who are survivors of violence, much like myself. So, my board chair was kind enough to remind me that I tend to speak very quickly, particularly when I have a lot of coffee. So in my head, I have Karen Myers, speak slowly. And when I get done, I'm hoping she's gonna tell me I get an A. So in the meantime, let me talk to you about the setup for the Safe2Be project. Specifically, we started with some incubated casework. We looked at discrimination. We looked at the difficulties they were having accessing public accommodations. We also looked at the fact that in rural areas and in specific communities such as frontier and indigenous communities, their barriers were even larger than those other marginalized and lower income clients that we assist in every day and every breath that we take. I'm remembering to breathe. Some of the public services they can access include 911, law enforcement services, and medical providers. So that led us to 2016, where we sought federal funding from the Department of Justice. Our focus has been on gender-based violence against those who are members of the LGBTQ+ community. We addressed the lack of access, the compounded barriers. The internal data revealed some incredible facts that we were disheartened to discover. They included this particular vulnerable community experienced worse outcomes than those who were not members of the LGBTQ+ community. More importantly, their cases were incredibly long-term and arduous casework, and the life expectancy of a transgender female in New Mexico was less than 30 years. Their inability to access public services meant they were likely to be victimized again and struggled in a host of communities. So let's talk about the initiation of the project. We did this work, we sought the funding in 2016. The project started in about 2017, and in 2018, on the very far left of your screen, you're going to see what amounted to an incredible discovery. Following a rural radio campaign, we got 100 cases. And we began to break the case types down, and the screening revealed something quite interesting, which meant that we had to go deeper. Our access had to be broader. We had to look at community-level advocacy and impactful casework. So that's what you see as we migrate to the other side of my slide. And that really tiny print can detail the diversified work that we discovered in 2022, which meant not only were we looking at domestic violence, we were looking at civil rights, employment discrimination, disability rights, education access barriers, and individual rights. A key fact here I'm going to share with you is that in 2018, individual rights comprised 1% of the casework. By 2022, it was 25%. So our priorities shifted. I'm looking for Lynn. We shifted to expand available civil resources. We tied in our pro bono referrals and began our impactful litigation. And now, Lynn, almost my last slide. Let's talk about the future of Safe to Be You, because we should all be safe to be ourselves. We now have appellate litigation in the 10th Circuit. We also have collaborative work to combat discrimination in public schools. We have pro se guidelines and pamphlets that we've crafted. We have additional areas of the law that we've expanded into, including school discrimination, where students are self-identifying themselves as being non-conforming, whatever that should be, or they're identifying on the LGBTQ+ spectrum. As a result, what we're noticing is that we're seeing an increase in violence. We're seeing politics take a frontline seat. And so we're seeing families fleeing westward, which means, of course, we have to increase our access, increase our resources. So at New Mexico Legal Aid, we have a helpline in this area, and we're beginning to track the trends because we recognize that this project is just the tip of the iceberg, much like what we're seeing in our offices. And by the way, my name is Sonia Belafont, and I'm the Executive Director of New Mexico Legal Aid.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Up next is Dan Glazier from Legal Services of Eastern Missouri. Dan?
You guys are gonna, yeah, you're gonna do my slides. Yeah. Thank you, Ron. I am Dan Glazier, and I have the honor of being the Executive Director of Legal Services of Eastern Missouri, headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri, but we serve 21 counties throughout Eastern Missouri. And I am joined by our board chair, Ben Burkemper, here today. And we are here to encourage you to replicate your own version of our neighborhood advocacy program, which we patterned after a program that was done in Legal Aid of Western Missouri. So let's pay it forward, right? Next slide, please. If you serve an urban area, likely it has abandoned or boarded up properties and vacant lots, which negatively impact our clients' lives each and every day, our quality of life. Imagine school kids walking to school and seeing dotted vacant building after vacant building as they're trying to make their way to school. And in St. Louis, we have quite a few, as we know so many of you do. Next slide, please. So to address this, in 2018, we launched our neighborhood advocacy program with a goal to support neighborhood organizations. We all know this. Improving neighborhoods is a justice issue. It's a racial justice issue, it's an environmental justice issue, and it's certainly an economic justice issue. And lawyers are needed here. Lawyers can help. How? How is this accomplished? You ask? All right, here we go. Next slide, please. Well, it's partly done through place-based pro bono partnerships with a legal aid co-counseling model with those pro bono lawyers. And this is very important. And for us, helped by two critical LSC Pro Bono Innovation Fund grants that really help make a difference. And with those, and with partnering with all these law firms, we're able to bring badly needed legal resources to residents at the community level. And it doesn't have to just be lawyering. Think beyond the legal work to encourage pro bono partnership engagement and cleanups, potlucks, and attending neighborhood meetings. Get involved, get connected, have these neighborhoods know that lawyers are there and lawyers care. Next slide, please. In working with neighborhood associations, we recommend including a mix of transactional litigation, individual litigation, and systemic legal work. We developed 3 categories of services to strengthen community, prevent displacement, and promote locally driven redevelopment. How do we do this? Category 1. We provide governance and technical assistance. And I mean, this is vital information that these pro bono lawyers bring and we bring to these community groups who they know their neighborhood. They know what they need, and we just try to help. Category 2, we resolve tangled titles and use estate planning sessions to prevent property abandonment and help residents stay in their homes. When grandma owned a house, and the kids always assumed, and the grandkids, that they would get that house because they were there each and every day with grandma. And nobody talked about estate planning. Nobody talked about what do you do when grandma passes. You know what happens to those buildings? They become vacant because the kids don't own it and they have to walk away. You can use, as we did, location data on clients served to choose the neighborhoods to focus for your program. Category 3, work with neighborhood associations to acquire abandoned property, as we did under something called the Missouri's Abandoned Housing Act. Under that act, neighborhood associations can get legal access to blighted and neglected properties. Your state may have a similar Abandoned Housing Act. Yeah, there are challenges to this work, absolutely. The work's hard, the need is great, and neighborhood politics can be a little messy, right? But we've seen some incredible outcomes. Next slide, please. Look at these before and after pictures. That's what they are. In the program's first 5 years, and we've been around for 5 years, the program served 277 households to preserve home ownership through title clearance and estate planning. We served 34 distinct St. Louis City neighborhoods on 265 legal matters. Those legal matters and those legal interventions have preserved $7 million in home equity and opened the door to $5.9 million in private investment into formerly vacant and abandoned buildings, returning more than 300 units of housing to the market after this work. Can you go back one slide, please? Go back one slide. Last year, we opened a satellite office to house our neighborhood advocacy program in the heart of the neighborhood. And it's a hub for a lot of our work, and it's been a very wonderful thing. Thank you so much. Neighborhood advocacy is helping clients reclaim their neighborhoods. Appreciate the time.
Our last highlight comes from my home state of Wisconsin, where our 2 grantees, Dee Dee Peterson and Beth Ann Richland, are going to make a presentation.
Yes. Okay. Great, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Beth Ann Richland. I am the Executive Director of Judicare Legal Aid. Serve the northern 33 counties in the state of Wisconsin and Native Americans statewide. And I'm joined by my colleague,
Dee Dee Peterson, who's the Executive Director of Legal Action of Wisconsin, which serves all the urban areas in Wisconsin's 39 southern counties. We get along famously well. We love Wisconsin. We say it that way too. We partner collaboratively quite well. And this project is very important to us because not only has it been very impactful and very successful, but both of us sat at the table with some very important people to think out this project while neither one of us were executive directors of our programs. And here we are today, both leading our programs and this incredibly successful project called the Crime Victims' Rights Project. And the background for this project was that crime victims' rights existed statutorily in the state of Wisconsin for a very long time. And they were on the books, very pre-Marsy's Law, if you've had that in your state. Statutory rights for crime victims were on the books. And they were a little vague about what you could do as a representative of a crime victim and whether or not there was standing to represent a crime victim as a third party in a criminal action. And so we started this project to really flesh out the law that existed already and to enforce the rights of standing for attorneys for victims as third parties. It's a little bit complicated to explain, but neither the prosecutor nor the defense represent the victim. The prosecutors represent the state, the community, trying to protect their community from the crime, the perpetrator, and then the defense, of course, is the counsel for the accused. So who is representing the rights of the victims that are statutorily allowed in the state of Wisconsin? So we will. In 2018, we started this project. We had a wonderful honeymoon period where attorneys were allowed to research the law and write fake pleadings and come up with briefs before we started doing some incredible outreach. 6 years of this program, we began outreach to very new partners, Victim Witness. That was very new to us. We stayed in our domestic violence, sexual assault, advocacy lane, working with our shelter partners. We did not reach out to the Victim Witness. These were very new people to us. Working with prosecutors, working with defense counsel. I gotta tell you, nobody liked us. So we knew we were doing something right. The goal of the project was to protect the sensitive information that was being requested by defense counsel of our victims. So they were seeking mental health treatment records, records of domestic violence advocacy, and we would assert their rights as third parties. But it was very hard because first we had to cross that threshold of standing. 6 years of this case, 6 years of this project, we took on a case very early on that became State of Wisconsin versus Alan S. Johnson. We took this case from a very small town in central Wisconsin, Waupaca, and represented a sibling pair that had been childhood victims of sexual assault. This became, over the course of 4 years, a landmark Supreme Court victory in Wisconsin in 2023 that found that attorneys for victims had standing in the state of Wisconsin, and also that victims could not be required to release their protected medical records or be found not able to testify in the trial of the accused. That line of case law was called Schifra Green. So of course, we have won a lot of awards along the way that we are very proud of. In 2018, we won a Wisconsin Legal Innovator Award. We just won a national award this year from the National Crime Victim Law Institute. And of course, our Supreme Court victory. We've helped numerous clients assert their rights in court for things like restitution, longer prison sentences for their perpetrators, and just standing to assert their rights for a speedy trial. We have a lot of ongoing challenges. This is a VOCA-funded project, which comes September 30th of this year will cease to exist. There are lots of legal deserts in our communities where we have no one to represent these victims, even if they were to be represented by counsel now that they're standing. And of course, we have lots of our clients have particular obstacles as being victims of a crime. Do you want to do lessons? We have no seconds.
No, I don't. I just wanted to say, do you want to do lessons learned?
No, you go ahead.
I just wanted to say one thing. Chloe, what happened to you is not okay. And the reason for this project is because what happened to you is not okay.
Beth Ann, Dee Dee, thank you for that, and thank you to all of our presenters. These are just 5 examples of the innovative and impactful work done by all of our grantees across the country. I wish we had enough time to highlight all of the tremendous innovative projects that are done throughout the country. In the meantime, let these 5, let's share our applause for these 5 and all the rest of our grantees.